The NBA returns to action today, and usually the All-Star break is around halfway through the season, but not this year. We're around 70% through the season, so now it is time to start talking about the playoffs, taking a real look at the conferences and the standings, and you have taken your time to break down the Western Conference into tiers. Who is your top-tier teams of contenders in the Western Conference?
Jacoby, being around this league for my entire 30-year period since being drafted and just following the game my whole life. When training camp starts, there are only a couple of teams that look at their squad and say, if we don't win the championship, this season is a bust. So therefore, those are the teams that are in my tier one for the Western Conference. The defending Western Conference champions, Phoenix Suns, who've had the best backcourt in the league, the best clutch team in the league, obviously led by a healthy CP and D-Book, and they built out their depth on the interior to play quality minutes behind Ayton because that was something that they were short at when they got to the NBA Finals to play against Giannis. The development of Bridges has been outstanding. He's been a terrific defender, but he continues to shoot the ball and he continues to improve his all-around game. And so that growth from within that Monty Williams has continued to been able to nurture, I feel when the Suns are healthy, they are the best, most cohesive team in the Western Conference, and they have championship or bust expectations. They lead my tier one.
And you also have, I have the Suns alone in tier one, but you also have another team which has an injury issue. The Chris Paul, obviously, with the Suns, and Draymond Green with the Warriors, who you have grouped with the Suns in tier one.
I do, Jacoby, and here's why. Because before Draymond Green went out, Steph Curry was in pole position or one of the favorites for MVP. The Golden State Warriors were really flying at a different level. And that's before Klay Thompson even returned.
Good
You
point.
know they're going to get Wiseman for the first time this season at some point soon. Jordan Poole is likely to sign a contract extension. Cool, $80 million, so he's going to feel good about his role. Klay Thompson is easing himself back in. And so the Golden State Warriors, Jacoby, they have corporate knowledge of being there and doing that. Steve Kerr has become not only one of the greatest coaches of all time, but also somebody that showed me he can develop a roster from within. I love what I'm seeing from Kuminga and how he's going to be a game-changing player for them as well. So those two squads, to me, championship or bust expectations, clearly finals or bust expectations. I anticipate this is going to be the Western Conference final matchup.
When you talk about these teams, it's impossible not to talk about the but when healthy. That's the one thing about these two teams in the top tier, which is a question mark. However, that could potentially open the door for teams in the second tier. Now, I disagree with you pretty much every way through your tiers. However, your second tier is extremely baffling for me. You have the Grizzlies and the Jazz. Please explain yourself, Mr. Rose.
I have only those two teams, and for different reasons, by the way. The Utah Jazz have a core group of players led by Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert that have been together the last couple of seasons. Jordan Clarkson, the sixth man of the year, and Mike Conley at the point. But they have been disappointing once the playoffs came. Even though they were flirting with the top spot in the West, I didn't like how I seen them lose in the playoffs. They lost to the Denver Nuggets, they lost to the Clippers, and I just thought that they had an opportunity to win both of those series. So for me, the Jazz are a team that feels like we at least better make the conference finals or the NBA finals or it's a bust. For the Memphis Grizzlies, I had them here for a different reason. They're really good. And the thing I like about the ascension of Memphis is that they become the team that everybody want to act like they're jumping on their bandwagon. And so it's like, John Moran has been a terrific performer since college and in the NBA. And as they've started to ascend, kind of like you and I were with the Denver Nuggets, the Memphis Grizzlies bandwagon is filled with people that's trying to say, I told you so.
Yep.
We can see everybody. I called Dylan Brooks my irrational confidence guy a couple of years ago, and he's been out. He's going to come back at some point, hopefully. Bane has been terrific, knocking down shots and also defending. Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr., though he's a righty at the free throw line, he's dunking with his left, blocking shots with his left. Taylor Jenkins also doing a terrific job nurturing this squad. So for Memphis, their youthful enthusiasm, their defensive tenacity, and just the dominance and brilliance of Ja Morant, and you can't stop that guy from getting to the bucket. To me, this is the second tier.
I agree with the Grizzlies being here, especially when you mentioned earlier the championship or bust thing. That's not how the Grizzlies feel. They're so young. The highest paid player on their roster currently is Steven Adams. Most everybody on their roster is not even making $9 million. So I see a great future for them. I feel like this isn't a championship or bust team. This is a get more playoff experience team and then take the leap next year. One thing I disagree with you about this second tier is I would have the Denver Nuggets in the second tier, because the Nuggets are going to get Murray back. They could get Porter Jr. back. And we all know that Jokic is competing for the MVP right now. But you have them in the third tier along with the two Los Angeles teams. Why do you have the Nuggets in the third tier and the Clippers in the third tier grouped in with the Lakers and the Nuggets?
Because that's my home run group, tier 3. And what you're saying is kind of a contradiction. You question whether I should have the Suns up because of their injuries, yet you have the Nuggets up, but they don't have their second and third best player. That's
hold on. If you're looking for consistency and logic, that you've done this show with me for 10 years. You know that, right? That I'm a hypocrite and I don't make sense. You know that, right?
I love you very much, and you look handsome today. Tier 3, by the way. So here's where I say tier 3. This is where you got MVP type players that could just take over a series and take you there. So for the Joker, he's the reigning MVP. And if you look at his numbers, I got to tell y'all a secret. They're better than Joel Embiid's, and they're better than Giannis Antetokounmpo's. It's just that his team isn't a contending team right now in the West. So that's why I have them here in anticipation that they may get Porter and Murray back. I have the Clippers here. Kawhi Leonard, how many championships he got? Oh, 2. How many finals MVPs he got? 1. If he's healthy for some reason and Paul George is healthy, how can I dismiss the Clippers?
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.